Yo, it's good. It's so great to see all of your faces again, joining us for another episode of Gumbo Talks. We are delighted and grateful for your presence, the support, and the foundation that you provided for our show and the platform for these conversations. Today, we have an all-women's episode. Sadly, we know that history is repeating itself, and we felt like these conversations are designed to be timely. So today we have 5 incredible women from around the city of Cincinnati and the greater Midwest to join us today to have a conversation about all things women. Most importantly, we've got a good friend of mine, Lex Nycole, who's going to host today's show. Incredible creative here throughout the Midwest, doing powerful, powerful things. So you're lucky you don't have to stare at me for the next 30 minutes. Where is Lex? Oh, there she is. Lex is here. Being Lex, obviously. So as you can see, you're in great hands. Thank you for being here. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And share, subscribe, do all of the things that you need to do to blow Gumbo Talks up the way it deserves to be blown up. Enjoy the all women's episode. Love you. Peace.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gumbo Talks. My name is Lex Nycole. I have the extraordinary opportunity and pleasure of talking with these amazing women today. And I'm so excited to just dive into who they are, what they do, and just like their perspective on the world right now. Before we do, to give you a little back story of who I am. My name is Lex, and I have been curating and producing multicultural and multidisciplinary arts initiatives for the last 7 years. So being born and raised in Cincinnati has kind of just given me the opportunity to really get a sense of like what I wanted to see in the city. And so with that, I've been able to kind of just like dive deep into working with artists, working with creatives, working with politicians, etc. And so today I feel like I'm surrounded by just that. And so ladies, without further ado, before we get started, I have a question for you. My question today is a little versus, just to kind of like pick your brain a little bit. It is, who would you have to kind of like pick over the other, right? So I'm going to give you Michelle Obama versus Oprah.
Oh my goodness.
And why? We can go counterclockwise or clockwise. Kelly.
Oh goodness. Oh, I knew I was coming first. I mean, I have to say Michelle Obama, without a doubt. I mean, I say that because she's just had so much of an impact on me personally and on what your voice, how much of an impact your voice has.
Yeah.
Not to say that Oprah does not have that, but I think she is someone who has always seemed to be really like relatable as well in a way, and looking back at her advocacy work and the work that she did before she came into that position. And that's something that I have, the path that I have taken. So it's inspiring to say, oh, that could be, that could be me someday if I choose, so yeah.
Yeah, no, that resonates 100%. Kersha, let's hear it.
This is such a hard choice. I feel like in a way, Oprah did all the things so that Michelle Obama could do all of the things as well. But without a doubt, Oprah, that is my girl. Growing up, I had the 100-year set collection of DVDs that I watched just hours of to see all of Oprah's shows. And she just paved the way for so many people, women, Black women, to just stand out and be unapologetically her, and now is still transcending and setting culture in new ways. And she's I don't know how old she is, but she's older.
She's
and
still pretty young,
yeah. She's phenomenal, and she is one of my all-time favorite humans. But I also love Michelle Obama. I mean, how could you not?
I mean, those arms.
Fashion,
how could you not?
Right? Design, she's brilliant.
She is.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I guess it was kind of a hard choice. I'm gonna go with Oprah simply because, as an entrepreneur, I appreciate where she started from. So she started off as an intern in a news station, and then look where she is now today. So, and like she said, she did pave the way for the Michelle Obamas and other women around the world, but I just appreciate her struggle and the impact that she made on just like for women around the world, just in general. But I would have to pick her, hands down.
Okay, well then I'll go ahead and split the vote because I'm a Michelle Obama girl. Yeah. Now, of course, I'm never going to take anything away from Oprah because she's an icon.
Yeah.
She trailblazed for Black women.
Yeah.
And I really look up to her in that respect. However, to me, Michelle Obama is like the Holy Land for me, right?
Yeah.
She is a powerful Black woman that stands on her own 2 feet. The work that she does, but also like as a young Black woman, seeing all the things that she's achieved, but also the fact she's been able to achieve that, but also be an amazing wife, and an amazing mother. That is like, that's the Holy Land. As a Black woman, I know like so many of my friends, we want that to still be able to have our career and to still have an impact, but then to also have everything. So nothing is ever taken away from Oprah because she's a queen, but Michelle Obama is the Holy Land for me.
No, I mean, it's a really hard one to pick. I mean, you have these 2 amazing Black women who've done so much, they've accomplished so much. And like you think about like Oprah, and for me, like when I think about her and my childhood, the first thing that comes to my mind is The Color Purple. And that, what a phenomenal movie that was. I mean, like Oprah gave you all of the ugly, and that, you know, like she had the snot running down,
Girl,
you know, and you
all my life I had to fight.
All my life I had to fight, you know. It's so there's just something to admire about somebody who can lose themselves in that craft. And she did that. She showed up as herself, I feel like, every step of the way. And like you said, you can't take that away from anybody. But then again, like you have Michelle Obama, who's a mother, a wife, etc. And you look up and you say, okay, I do want that. Like, maybe I do want to have kids. Maybe I do want to have the husband. Maybe my role, like, you know, she got her degree. I think she went to like an Ivy League, etc. And maybe you get to this point, you're like, well, what do I want out of life? And then all of a sudden your role is to be the most influential woman in the world. Like, how do you live up to that? You were only preparing to be great, but now you're preparing to be perfect. And she did it so well, so flawlessly. And I say flawlessly because she wasn't perfect. Nobody was. Like I remember there were pictures that came out about her, and they were trying to drag her and say that she wasn't, you know, she didn't know how to dress, etc. And she said, you know what? Let me show you something, you know?
Hey, and Barack likes it. Okay.
She did. She said, watch this. So,
she had quite the accessory too. Yeah,
she did. Barack loved it. That man worships the ground she walks on. Yes.
So those 2 women, I kind of just want to pick your brain. I mean, you can't really compare oranges to apples, obviously, but it made me kind of think even further, like, about their superpowers, right? As 2 amazing women. And then I'm like, well, what's my superpower? Like, what are the superpowers of these women who are waking up every day to say, I choose to do this, you know? And so I want to know, firstly, I would love for you all to introduce yourself, but then I just want to know, like, what do you feel like your superpower is in your industry? Let's go with Asha first.
Oh, okay. So my name is Asha.
Yeah.
And I'll say I'm a good friend of Lex. I feel like we've known each other for forever.
Yeah.
Even though I literally just became good friends with you last fall.
Yeah.
So I'm a fashion designer. And
an amazing fashion designer.
Thank you. Born and raised here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been on Project Runway and Project Runway All-Stars. And now I'm thank you. Yeah. And now I'm the owner of my own brand, Asha Ma. And I'm really kind of hitting this sweet spot of not just being a fashion designer, but being an artist. So my work has been displayed in the Taft Art Museum, the Contemporary Art Museum, and now the Cincinnati Art Museum.
Yes.
So, thank you. Okay, so my superpower. So I think I have a few, but I think if I had to pick my biggest superpower is that I feel like I have God eyes. Right. So I think my superpower as an artist, as a Black woman, as a fashion designer, is that I'm able to see my people for who we actually are. I can see through the BS that the world tries to lie to us about who we are as Black people, specifically as Black women. But I believe that God sees us as his greatest creation. So as an artist, I relate a lot to God because to me, God is an artist, you know?
Yeah.
And so the fact that I am able to sit in a space where I can be a mirror to my people and I can uplift Black people, especially Black women, that's what really means the world to me. And that's when I feel the best when I had my fashion show and I saw a little Black girl like come up and like sit in the front row with me because she wasn't supposed to be sitting there, but she just really wanted to see the clothing, and she was just so amazed to see dark-skinned Black model after dark-skinned Black model walk down in this huge, fanfare. So I think if I can be a mirror to my people, then I'll be doing what God gave me as a superpower.
Beautiful.
I like that.
Yes. Chills.
Now I'm nervous.
Yeah.
For that.
You got it. Talk to us.
My name is Arielle, and I am born and raised in Cincinnati. I've moved out of state, moved back. My background has been retail sales. When I first moved back from Atlanta, I opened up a men's clothing store downtown on Main Street, a couple blocks up. And it was before it was OTR. It was still a lot to progress. Like it was a long way away from what it is now. And I had that for a few years. And then my next venture was I opened up a cereal bar. Well, I'm opening up a cereal bar, which is coming to Cincinnati this fall.
I need it.
Thank you.
I'll be there.
Yes, thank you. I hope all of you guys are there. But I'm super excited about that. And I think my superpower is being able to see the vision when there's really no path for it. So like I said, like
a visionary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a creative. And I came down at OTR and it was not even close to what it is now. But I knew that the city was growing and I knew that I had to be downtown. I didn't know what street, but I knew I needed to be downtown. So I picked OTR and it was a great look. I feel like I could have been a little bit further with the men's clothing store had I just held on a little bit longer. But I still saw the vision before. So I left with that. And then I had another vision, which was a cereal bar, which wasn't a concept that people would be very familiar with in Cincinnati. But when I was talking to my partner, I was like, no, we need to do this. And I had to convince people that the city was ready for this, even though we probably weren't. But so I just feel like I just have these visions. Like I have another idea that I want to do as soon as the cereal bar opens. Like, so I just have a vision that's probably not ready for Cincinnati, but I'm ready for it. So
yeah, but that's really powerful though, because a lot of the times, like people don't know what they're ready for unless they have the opportunity to have it.
Exactly.
So if it's in front of me, if I can have an apple, I'm gonna grab an apple.
Exactly.
If I have the opportunity to recycle, I'm gonna recycle, or else I'm gonna put it in the trash.
Exactly.
So I commend you. I've been around. I've seen at the shop. You know, when it was on Main Street, and you were absolutely ahead of the time. You're always ahead of the curve, and you've never given up, even when you've had to like take a step back. I'm incredibly proud of you because I still see you. Just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
It's such an entrepreneur thing to say too, to be like, I'm already working on my next thing before my first thing is even open.
Yes.
And that's just incredible.
Thank you so much. Like my brain's never stopping. Like I'm never not thinking about the next step. So, but thank you.
And not only are you visionary, but you execute too. Like that's a superpower in and of itself.
Yeah.
You could say you saw the vision, but you made it happen.
Yes. I should be scared and weary, but like, I'm really not. I'm just like, I'm gonna do a cereal bar.
Absolutely.
Like, and I had a lot of, I don't think that's gonna work, or are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, absolutely, I'm sure. So
yeah.
But thank you for those words, guys.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Kersha Deibel.
Hi, Kersha.
Hey, it's so good to be here with y'all.
You have so much flavor over there.
Yeah, I love you. I'm all bright over here.
No, you look good.
Like I said, Kersha Deibel. I'm the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood Southwest Ohio. I have been here. Whoo, is right.
I know. I wanted to tap in on that. But
all of us, bow down. I am originally from a super small town called New Philadelphia, Ohio. It's like, anybody ever heard of it? Usually that's the response, especially here in Cincinnati. It is like Northeast Ohio near Canton, Akron, corn, high school football, my little brother Jaden, he had 2 goats named Dodge and Skittles. It's like literally your quintessential small town. Yes. So when I turned 18, being a little biracial Black girl in New Philadelphia, Ohio, was like, I've got to get out of here as fast as possible, while still getting in-state tuition, because that was important. So I came to Cincinnati, and I went to UC, and my freshman year of college, my stepmom picked me up to take me to Planned Parenthood to get birth control. And I had never been there before, never experienced Planned Parenthood, but we roll up and of course we see the protesters outside, and I'm thinking, where are we? But I go in and I get exceptional care. And that was really the start of my journey with this organization. And that was started in 2005. And I have been a patient. I started volunteering for the Center on Auburn Avenue. When I went to graduate school in St. Louis, I started interning in the policy and public policy division, because I realized that I have a social work background, but I realized that, not only is the clinical work and the work actually inside the centers critical, but really what was impacting the patients the majority of the time were the policies and the decisions that a small minority were making for women, and predominantly, women of color, just like myself, that went into that center. So I knew that was my trajectory. And I went to work for our national office in Washington, D.C. for about a decade, and most recently came back here about 3 years ago to lead Southwest Ohio. And it is truly an honor. It is a blessing, and just to be back with my original Planned Parenthood family, but also my family here in Ohio. My wife, she is from Columbus too, so we're back, and it feels good. And the city is alive, because of all of you, all the work that has been done, this beautiful foundation. And I've had a good time, despite the obvious, which I'm sure we'll discuss here.
We have to. I mean, just your insight alone is room for a conversation. Yes. But what's that superpower?
Superpower. I feel, I was a cheerleader in high school. I feel like I still, in this line of work, you have to be optimistic, right? It's so difficult to do this work every day. And the team that I get to work with is incredible. They're committed. And it's hard sometimes to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I try to keep hope alive and be optimistic, because there is hope and there is a future. And luckily, we get to create what that vision looks like for us, with us, by us. And so that is, my superpower is optimism and hope, and doing the work in a co-created way with my amazing team.
I like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's a hefty background you got there, girl. But everyone needs a cheerleader. Everyone, I think the world is in such a need for extreme optimism and hope. And like you said, sometimes when you don't see the end of that tunnel, you do need those people who God put on this earth for a reason. And it's to keep the people alive, to keep the direction going. And I actually had this conversation earlier today with a friend of mine named Speed Walton. And we talked about purpose. And when you really take a second to understand who you are and what you were meant to do, there's nothing that can take you off that path. Your purpose is rooted in your spirit, and there's nothing that comes between you and your spirit, not even religion, nothing. And so I just think that how divine that is. You go get your birth control, and here you are running the region, and you get to do something incredible, which is the advocacy for women and health. And I just think that's wonderful. I'm trying to be your friend after this. So
Absolutely.
I have questions. I do. Well, I'm so
we all should be friends after this.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought we were.
I know these two are.
We're there. And we need that optimism right now too, because it is hard as a woman to wake up day after day especially after the past couple of months. So thank you for being a cheerleader for us.
Oh, yes,
thank you.
So needed.
Kelly.
So my name is Kelly. I'm the executive director of the Over-the-rhine Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
Been in this role for about 6 years, and I started with my first job out of college was at St. Joe's Orphanage, right over on the west side, right behind LaSalle High School.
Yeah.
And working in short-term and foster, short-term and long-term care with foster kids. Did that right out of college. And then I just started doing the nonprofit, track, and really, I think through that and then through evolving, to do that work, and was an advocate for homelessness and at-risk youth and moms with 0 to 3 year old babies, and would do home visits, and that all led to this position, and kind of coming in from not the marketing communications end, but from the social services end, and in working with entrepreneurs. It is very much like bringing along, just I would say the superpower is listening, and being able to be an advocate. I think listening has done so much, especially in this role, and being able to I feel like what comes in through the ears is even more important than than my advocacy work. Because you all make it so easy to hear the stories and the challenges, and then being able to take that and build relationships with those who can make some of those more significant decisions, whether on the local or regional level, but being able to listen and really really hear someone, that's something that I like to hold on to as a superpower. So yeah,
that's awesome.
And I love that, because to me it's like I'm super excited to first of all sit here with everybody, because when you listen to everyone, and when you listen to where they've come from, what they're doing, to me, you hear the timing of it all, the divinity of it all, the placement of it all, just knowing and being confident that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And you've seen the work, you've done the work on the field, and now you're in a position of power. Now you're in a position to change someone's life. You're in a position to give somebody a job, to give someone the opportunity to create generational wealth. You are going to be the reason why someone can open up a tuition in their child's name. And when you really take a second to just say there's so much responsibility there. I don't mean to put so much pressure on you, but I'm just you're cultivating a neighborhood, and that is huge and very commendable, but also just even furthering more, understanding how important it is to see and to hear and to listen to all of those different things. And so, I just think that's really cool.
It is.
So, yeah.
That's why I admire Michelle Obama, that pressure. And she does it with such grace.
Such grace.
I don't always do it. I'll admit, it's not always with grace, but.
But it's interesting though, how people end up where they are. And I feel like for me, so I have a twin sister. And so my superpower, all the time I like to say I can be in 2 places at once, which is true, because people come to me all the time oh, hey Ashley, and I'm I'm Alexis, but it's fine, hey girl, and then I'm just have a friend again. But the way that we've kind of amplified that is just our ability to connect dots, right? So I would say one of my superpowers is just being a connector. And being oh, you did this, so you should know this person. Oh, you know this, so you should know this. Oh, you need a technical director. Oh, you need volunteers, And so I get excited when other people get to see how awesome other people are. But from that, I also kind of want to know your all's opinion. Where do you see the future for female? Where are female in this future right now? I don't know. Anyone can feel free to chime in on that.
Yeah, I can kind of start.
Yeah, go
I was
for
gonna say
it.
this was kind of the topic of my last fashion show.
Okay.
In collection, so I do have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So I think that the world that we live in is kind of at a breaking point, right?
Yeah.
A lot of archaic ideas are not working, and not to shade men, but men have been in charge for as long as I've been alive and beyond, obviously. So I feel like the world, is full of war and hate and politics that have like really negative effects on our daily lives and so on and so forth. So I feel like the only thing that can break us out of this rut and out of this breaking point is for women to take the lead. Yeah. I often think like, what would the world look like if it was ran by women and women leaders? And I feel like there would just be so much more love and compassion and empathy. And, we're also super intelligent and we're great problem solvers. So I think that it's time that women take the lead and kind of the world follows suit. Yeah. Age of Aquarius.
I feel like, yes. I feel like it's already started down that path for the last couple of years because look how the roles have shifted so many times. Like, look at the positions that we're in when it was mostly dominated by men, like she said. Like, so I feel like, not to be in a race or not to downplay anybody, but we're in a position that we're holding our own now. Like, we're in a time where we're holding our own. So it's a lot more women entrepreneurs, business owners, in places of power. Like, we have a vice president that's a woman. Like, so it's just really our time. Like, we're not really, not saying we were on the coattails before, but like now we're coming to the forefront. Like, hey, I can do that. I can be a CEO. I can be a president. I can be. There's no gender specific roles anymore. Like, we are getting our money. We are getting to this bag. We are getting to whatever we dream of. Like, so that's what I feel like.
I love that. And like, to me, women are the past. We are the present. We are the future. And we really have been leading forever, right? We have been leading. The role may not have been as defined in terms of, powerful, as we start to equate, power with men or with white men, frankly. But at the end of the day, women have been leading, whether it's in our households, in many of the organizations, in the corporations, behind the scenes, like making things happen always, from the beginning of time, and raising children on top of that, and sometimes on our own, right? But I think about, my line of work, and, a month ago, 30 days ago, Roe v. Wade, 50 years of precedent, which gave us the legal right to abortion, was overturned. And that is not only terrifying and scary for patients, thousands, millions of patients across this country. 26 states are poised to lose access now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. But Roe was also the floor. It was never the ceiling. We, Roe allowed states to go in and chip away, continue to chip away at restrictions around abortion access and around access to healthcare, period. And so now we have this opportunity where we as women, as people who have the ability to get pregnant, can actually redefine what access to legal abortion, legal healthcare should look like and can look like in this country. And so I'm excited over the next, few years for us to really be able to redefine with patients at the center, with women at the center, with Black women at the center, with trans folks at the center of this conversation. What does healthcare look like, and what should access look like, so that people can get the care that they need, no matter what? Yeah.
There's your superpower.
No, it's giving politician. Put her on the ballot. Put her on the ballot. I'm voting.
I think truly ever since that's been, went down, everyone has just had the same narrative of like, oh my gosh, this is going in such a negative direction. And that's the first time truly that anyone has been like, well, here's the good thing. Here's what we now have the power to do, is to reframe it the way that we want to see it, and not have it be, structured by men. So that was phenomenal.
Yeah, you did that. You actually gave me hope. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe she is onto something. Maybe we do get to actually create this ceiling now, because when that happened, I can't even lie to you. Like, I was defeated. I feel defeated. And I'm like, the moment that it happened, it was like defeat had to precedence over my body for like the next 2 weeks at the very least. And I was like, it's put me in a position and was like, I almost didn't know if I could see the future.
Yeah.
It became, in that very second, it was blurry. I was like, my gift of foresight has just like completely been eradicated because of one decision. But then you take a second and you kind of like, wow, like people only start to like put those types of barriers on people when they're scared, when they are scared and they're fearful of how powerful we actually are.
Absolutely.
And because we do hold the power to the universe. Let's think about that for a second. Like, you know, and it's this level of intimidation. And then you kind of have to, you do have to take that power back and say, you know what, go ahead, do all you can, you know, we're just going to come 10 times harder. And so I do appreciate the optimism. That is your superpower, because it washed right over me. I was like, she is onto something. Yeah.
We're working from a place of abundance, not scarcity, right? Like now is the time to not only think about what we had or what we could have had, but what we want and what we need for ourselves. So
how do we redefine that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, in the work that we're doing and seeing all of these businesses that are opening, and seeing, you know, up and coming entrepreneurs who I know are, you know, leaders in the making. It's just really, it's incredible to see with just, you know, specifically, of course, I can speak to Over-the-Rhine, but I keep in touch with other neighborhoods, and I know it's like female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs of color, like, are certainly on the rise. And now it's our job to say, okay, well, how do we make sure we ensure retention too? We're always trying to think even further ahead and not just say, okay, it's great to build like an inclusive, you know, neighborhood in that structure, but how do you keep fostering it, keep growing it again and again? And it's like the women who are, you know, who we work with, it's like, that's where I feel, you know, in a way, like, feel better, because I know that I have 100 business owners with me, but then, you know, 30 or 33% of them are women. And it's like that number, we're going to keep growing it, you know, and we're going to ensure they get the services in place to stay there too. So, something we did recently was partner up with, a local, you know, a healthcare partner, and that if they became, you know, in the OTR chamber crew, they'd be able to get access to health insurance, and their employees too. So that just meant the world to be able to, you know, someone at Spruce Nail Shop was like, we're supplying all of our majority female employees with healthcare now. And I just said, you know, healthcare is so important in all facets.
It's a game changer. It's a life. Literally, you know, if we have healthy employees, we also have healthy communities, right? These are the folks, the fabric of this city. So thank you.
Yeah,
that was work.
Wow. And you take a step back and you're like, so Kelly has like 300 entrepreneurs in her, so she's got the soldiers. She's got all the soldiers. And Kersha she's enforcing all of our policies, so we're working there. Asha, you're designing all of our clothes, so we're still gonna slay even when we go to war. Okay. And Arielle's making the strategy. She's designing where we're gonna be even before we even see it. So all I hear is like a room full of incredibly powerful women who are about to just destroy Cincinnati. And I cannot wait to just see where life takes us. I can't wait to be back in the seats again 10 years from now and just catching up and be like, so what did I miss? What's going on? You know, what's our plan? And so it's just an honor to kind of like be here with you ladies, and I'm excited. If you had to tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? And that will be our closing.
Buy Bitcoin.
That's a good one.
No, seriously, I would have said that. But you know what I would have? So like, I'm 40 now, and
I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on.
I agree. Okay.
I don't believe it.
So I'm 40 now, and I'll be 41 in November. And I always thought, if I had these ideas 10 years ago, where would I be? Or if I didn't let people tell me, like, I don't think you should do that, or Cincinnati's not ready, or it's too big for you, or you don't have the money, like, I would have been in a better position than I am today. Like, I mean, I'm still in a good position, but I would have known so much more had I just took the leap. Like, I would just been like, told myself, like, maybe 15 years ago, take the leap. Mm-hmm. Take the leap.
Just trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Don't listen to the negative thoughts that the other people's other people say. I would have just did it. And I literally just thought about this. I wish I would have done what I wanted to do 10 years ago.
And you know what? It's still not too late. You know why? Because you got friends like Kelly.
No, it's not too late. And like you said earlier, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Because you're always gonna get to the end or to the point B or whatever. It might go a little zigzag, but you're always supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, either direction you take, I always feel like you're supposed to get to where you are. I know that sounds very like cliche or optimistic, too optimistic, but no, you're always supposed to get to where you.
Purchase that never.
Yes, you're always supposed to get to the end, no matter how the direction may be. But that's it.
Okay, younger selves, what are we saying?
Got a lot to say. I'm trying to whittle it down to one. I was gonna say, if one of you ladies.
Well, I'll go off I'll say, the trust your gut, like the trust yourself. I mean, I was a self-doubter for the longest time. And even now, so I'm 39, almost there. And, but for the first time have, invested in like someone who is helping me with whether, you call it like the life coaching. But I mean, we're still talking about confidence. And it's like, you're in the leadership role. And you're still just when you grow up, and especially as a woman, it's like you just keep getting, those roadblocks and those challenges. And so it's been a real struggle, but it's like investing in that has been just done so many things to be like, oh, it takes a village to build up OTR, but it takes a village also to build up like your mental health. And we forget that sometimes, that it's like, you don't do this yourself. Like, it takes a lot of people to help you with, confidence piece too. So I would just say, but, could have learned that a little earlier. I'm always taught to never say the should haves. So, but if that advice would have been imparted on me, and I just would have been like, just go with it and be confident. Yeah. Wouldn't have gone through maybe so many of those challenges too.
I have never heard it said that way. I've always heard it takes a village to raise a family. I've never heard it takes a village to raise your mind. Not in that way. I think maybe in other ways, but like I think that is like in the simplest form that you could ever receive it and digest it, and that it brings so much truth. So like I'm very proud of you though, because it's so important. Yeah. So important. You're gonna be stomping all over these people in OTR.
For me, I would say, as a fat, Black, queer woman growing up in a super small town, I would tell her to be unapologetically yourself, to take up space, even more space, to be loud, and it's okay to be loud, to laugh, and to just own your greatness. Yeah. And I've had to realize that as I'm 35 now, but as I got older, and I wish I would have known that earlier. And so I think that's why I, encourage, young folks to just be themselves. And it's so beautiful to see Gen Z. I mean, they are like the baddest, wildest, amazing. So unapologetic. They take up space. They're brilliant. And they say what they want and what they need, right? And I wish that I would have done that even earlier, but it's exciting to learn and step into that power now, so that hopefully, in the next 80 years, I'm going to say 100 years, I'm going to be 135. There we go. That I continue to do that and encourage other folks to, because it's so important as we think about all of our identities and the intersections of those identities, that we are comfortable with who we are and help pave the way for other people to sit in their comfort too.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Amen. Yeah.
We all heard you.
Thank you.
We did.
Okay, so I think that I would tell my younger self so kind of twofold. So similar to what you ladies were saying, to have faith, because as a creative, I am someone who I go up and down. Like, I believe in my greatness, and then I'm like, what am I doing? I should have been a lawyer or something else, right? So it would be to have faith in my journey, and that everything that's happening, even like the big L's that I took, were for a reason, and they were going to make me stronger and affirm who I was and what God put me on this earth to do. Like, looking back, some of my lowest points in life are the most meaningful, because they showed me who I was and what I'm capable of. And so I'm grateful for those failures that I've had. And then I think secondly, it would be to protect my work and my heart and my vision. Because I'm such a like lover of people and friends and community. Oftentimes I've like spread myself thin, or I've shared my vision with too many people who, you know, were secretly doubters or naysayers or didn't believe in themselves. And so they wanted to project that onto me.
Haters.
There's a lot.
Haters. Exactly.
That will suck the energy out of you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think now that I'm 34, I've kind of hit this sweet spot of really having like a tight circle of people who I can trust. But as a young person, you know, you're not able to see through certain things. So I think being protective of like my work and my vision and my craft, and my heart, and then to have faith also.
No, that's really good advice. I think too, especially when you're growing up, like you want to seek approval. You want to make people proud. You want to make yourself proud. You want to make your family proud. And that does sometimes cause you to either like, for me, I overcompensated way too much. You know, I was always trying to be or hang out with the wrong people. And instead, I should have been like doing my homework.
Well, you know what? Like, literally.
That would be my advice. Just do the work.
Relatable. So for me, that looked like I had to be a straight A+ student, you know? Like, I was literally the student that if I got an A-, I would be at my teacher's office hours. Like, can we talk about what I can do to improve?
I should have had you as my friend.
And you know, like now that I'm in this space as a fashion designer, when I was coming up in the fashion world, a lot of times people didn't understand my vision, and that would break my heart and crush me. And now I am celebrated for the things that those people told me, I don't get it, or you need to change your point of view. And those same people are the people that asked me back to speak to, you know, their class or their constituents. Like, hey, can you come back and talk to the kids? And I'm like, absolutely. So that I can tell my younger self through them, you know, what it is that I learned.
I like that.
I love that. That's so unique. That's really cool to be able to do that.
I love that so much. I mean, what like a blessing it is though to just like take the second to acknowledge yourself, because at the very least, like, we have to show up for ourselves. You know, we're living in a world where you can't trust anybody. And you can't share your secrets to everybody. And not everyone's going to see that vision. But you get to believe in yourself. And when you do that work on the mental, when you do the work to keep your hopes up and keep your spirits alive, and you believe in your visions, like, you get to like be the leader. You get to be the person that now like our younger generations get to look up to, you know? And so like, how cool is that? How cool are you all? That like you are these walking icons. You are these walking phenomenal, beautiful women that oh, I know this girl. Like, she inspired me to make my design. Like, I know this woman. You know, like, she helped me understand like what it means to build a community, like to enforce these policies, to protect women's rights, and you know. So it's incredible, and I'm just super honored to sit here with you guys and. Thank you for sharing. I mean, first of all, like, thank you, Gumbo Talks, because this was really cool. And I remember knocking on Rico's door, like, hey, just so you know, I got dibs. Like, tap me in, coach. I'm ready. I want to talk. And so I didn't think he was going to have me in this seat, but here I am. But, you know, 45 minutes is not enough time to have a conversation. It's like a microwave popcorn type of conversation is what this was. So we can finish this conversation offline, but regardless, like, thank you so much for being here with me and trusting me, you know, with your stories. So,
thank you.
I was gonna say, can I say one last thing?
Yeah, girl.
Okay, I was gonna say, we've talked so much about ourselves that I just want to say thank you, Lex. When I met you last fall, the way that I met you was that I kept stumbling into her events and I didn't know who she was, but I would always feel so at home and so seen as a Black woman. And when I finally saw the face behind all the hard work, I was like, oh, this is going to be my sister. Like, I already know. So thank you for making Cincinnati beautiful and making us feel seen.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna cry off the camera. I'm gonna keep it together for you guys. But no, thank you, seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.